Hi, I'm back in my kitchen. It's that festive time of year. I'm going to show you how to make some really popular Italian cookies, Cuccidati. So come on back into my kitchen and let's forget what's going on outside for a while. Nothing like baking to get you in the mood for the holidays. So there are two parts to making Cuccidati cookies. First, you make the filling, and I recommend you make that ahead of time. You can make it days ahead, weeks ahead. A lot of people say they'll really let it marinate, let all the filling parts marinate for at least a few days. And the second part is the dough. If you watched my first video, which I believe was from this past April, making pupa ganlova, the cookie dough is the same. It's the same recipe, the same dough. So I'm going to make the filling first. I'm not going to let it marinate just for time's sake to video everything. So I'll go through all the steps really quickly. But you don't have to be Italian to make these cookies. Anybody can make them. They look complicated, but they're really not. You just take it step by step. You too can make an Italian Cuccidati cookie. Here goes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the ingredients. People use different ingredients in the Cuccidati cookies. A lot of people use figs. My mother's recipe does not call for figs. It only calls for dates. So I have these dates, and the dates usually come with a pit in the middle. So you got to take that, make sure you take that pit out of there before you grind them up. Okay, but we're going to use those. And we're going to use cinnamon, honey, orange juice, orange zest or the orange rind. I'm going to peel that off, scrape that off. Any kind of jam, raspberry, strawberry, nuts. My mother used walnuts and raisins. Oh, can't forget the secret ingredient. Secret ingredient is apricot brandy. I didn't have any apricot brandy. I'm just going to use regular brandy. But the apricot brandy is really nice. So let's go on and I'll show you how we're going to put all this together. I'm going to start by zesting the oranges. Got my zester guy. If you don't have a zester, you can also use a grater, one of these guys. And just use this side, the littlest side. That's actually what my mother used to use. I'm going to use my zester. Just get all that delicious zest off of there. Oh, it smells so nice. I like to start with the orange zest because it just smells so good. Okay, that's done. Okay, skipping ahead here, I got everything ready and I'm going to put it all in my food processor. I am making a half recipe, and honestly, I've done it before in my food processor one other time, and my Cuisinart was seemed like it was gonna die. It's really not. Food processors aren't really made, household food processors to grind up things that are sticky like this. But anyway, I got half a recipe, so I'm hoping it's going to work. I think I have a manual grinder is really the best thing to use. Also, the KitchenAid does have a grinding attachment, which I don't own. Maybe Santa will bring me one this year. Hint, hint. But that would work better than this. So here's hoping. A little cinnamon. And the shot of brandy, baby. Okay, let's see what happens. Well, it worked. It looks like the stuff. Try a little. It tastes like the stuff. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to get the filling and put it in the fridge while I move on to making the dough. After I tasted it, I did add an extra shot of brandy because I really couldn't taste anything, but the apricot brandy is definitely nice, so get that if you can. It's hard to find in local liquor stores, though, unfortunately. Okay, now we're getting to the part where we're going to mix the dough. I can use my KitchenAid for that. Start by creaming the butter just for a momento. Then we're going to add the sugar. We're going to get that creamy. Then we're going to add the eggs. At this point, I'm going to get the scraper and scrape the sides. Add the vanilla. I want to add a little more vanilla. Never enough vanilla in the world. Add the zest. Oh, that smells so great. The orange and the vanilla together. Delicious. Now we're going to slowly add in the flour combined with the baking powder and salt. Here I'll stop and start the mixer and lower it just to get it in there a little easier. And add some more flour. This is starting to thicken up, so I'm going to add in the juice at this point. And then add the rest of the flour. And that's it. I'm going to pull it off now and just kind of mix it the rest by hand. So at this point, I'm just going to get some plastic wrap and lay it on the counter because I'm going to dump the dough into that to let it rest in the fridge for about an hour. So you want to try not to mix the dough too much because it kind of gets it tough. So I probably could have stopped a little sooner than I did, but I also wasn't super careful when I measured the flour. And this dough feels a little bit stiff to me. I probably put a little too much flour in, but that's how I do it. I am, a bit of a casual baker. I don't know. My things usually come out pretty good. I'm not always super concerned with precision. A lot of people would be critical of that comment because you really want to be pretty precise when you're baking. Okay, I'm going to switch to a wooden spoon here so I can get a better grip. All right, so I'm just going to get the dough. And it's going to be a little sticky. You want it to be a little sticky. If it isn't sticky, it's going to be too dry. So yeah, that's pretty sticky. So I'm just going to pull some mounds of dough off and wrap them in the plastic wrap and then let them rest in the fridge for at least an hour so that they're easier to work with. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my filling and I'm going to put it in this pastry bag so I can just pipe little strips out. You can also just use a couple of spoons and kind of place it on, but doing it with the tube is much easier. So that's how I'm going to do it. So I left this out of the fridge, so it's pretty soft. That'll make it easier to squeeze and get into the middle of the cookies. I'm not going to fit all of this in here. I'll come back for the rest in a bit. Okay, so that's ready. Put that to the side. Okay, now get the dough out of the fridge and we're going to roll these babies out. Just get a little flour on here so it doesn't stick. You can roll it similar to how you would roll out pie dough or cutout cookie dough, but just a long narrow strip. Gonna go for it to be about 2 to 3 inches wide, and however long, because you're just gonna cut out however many cookies long. Now I'm just gonna get rid of some of this excess flour. Flip this over and just brush that off with a clean towel. Get our filling. I'm just gonna squeeze it out. And you can, of course, use spoons to do this, a couple of spoons together, but I think it's easier to squeeze it out with the bag. Now we're going to take the cream and just brush it along here, so when we roll it up, it's got something to hold those folds together. Okay, now we're gonna roll it right over the top, and then just roll it right over, and then press down onto that back part. Make sure that's stuck together. And that's what it looks like. Now we're just going to cut them into pieces, and I like to do it on the diagonal. So it's going to be something like this. We're going to load them right onto the pan. They are ready to go in the oven at 350. And these are on the smaller side, so probably only going to cook them about, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes. I'm using 2 racks, so I'll switch the cookies partway through. I did have some leftover dough, so what I did with that was I just rolled it into little ropes and cut it into little pieces. Roll them in the cream, and then roll them in the sesame seeds to make gigolini. Are actually a very delicious cookie. So this is how many half a recipe makes. You can imagine the full recipe is pretty big. Now it's off to frosting. Coming down the home stretch, frosting is very simple. Just a little bit of confectionery sugar with a little bit of lemon juice or orange juice to make it spreading consistency. That's it. Just a little dribble. And while it's still wet, you can sprinkle on all the cool decorations. And they are done. And I kind of like it that they're all like different and shaped weird. And the best part, the taste test. Now it's Christmas. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget, call us at 858-8900 if you need anything. And we are looking forward to seeing you hopefully soon. Wear your masks. Stay safe.